Okay, I want to put a couple of things in clarity. One thing that the negative Jason has said about me saying that the reason I wanted genetically modified organisms to be banned was because the FDA safety regulations weren't up to par. I didn't say that. I said that I didn't say the reason why I wanted that we were debating for GMOs to be banned in the U.S. wasn't because of the FDA safety regulations. The FDA leaves the safety regulations to the companies, and the reason we want it banned is because of health issues and also environmental issues. Another thing that I want to rebuttal towards Sandra's case is when she tried saying that there weren't that many harmful effects with genetically modified organisms. Now, I have to agree with her when she says that we haven't had genetically modified organisms out for quite a while, and that there hasn't been much research information going towards it, only mostly just animal research, not much towards humans. But there have been several cases where humans' lives were in danger due to genetically modified organisms. And this is from Livestrong.com, and this is from World Health Organization. And they said their one biggest concern is the potential for genetically modified foods to cause allergic reaction in humans. Another concern is outcrossing, or the process of combining non-modified crop genes with genetically modified organisms that are not intended for human consumption. This could result in a food product that contains genes that are not improved by humans, and that was the case where this actually happened, in which cows were being fed genetically modified soybeans, and they wanted a protein balance to increase their weight gain, and so they crossed their soybean gene with a Brazilian nut gene. And what ended up happening was, when this was released to people who eat soybeans and such, this actually caused allergic reaction to people who were allergic to Brazilian nuts. And so they had to recall the entire product back. So to briefly summarize that, you say GMOs aren't harmful, but there are cases in which they do harm people, and one of those cases when they actually crossbreed certain genes together that shouldn't be crossed in the first place. And really the big reason is for allergic reactions that can actually be fatal to whoever consumes it. Also, Negative Jason tried putting down my claim, saying that genetically modified foods, how they were tested on animals, wasn't as compelling. I didn't have enough time to actually briefly go through it thoroughly, but the reason why I used the animal testing as to point out why they're unhealthy, or why GMOs are unhealthy, are because, well, GMOs are fed to animals in which we consume. And there are several things that can happen, such as when cows were fed, or cows are still being fed soybeans. And what ends up happening is it increases their fat content in milk. So we're eating genetically modified foods that have higher fat content, which is also unhealthy towards us compared to organic. And also there are 2 incidences in which genetically modified foods were not approved because the FDA didn't handle it. It was the food companies that were taking care of the safety regulations, because that's what the FDA allowed them to do. The FDA actually shied away from handling safety regulations with these major food or seed companies. And in 2006, this is from genetically modified foods.com. In 2006, Japan suspended long-grain rice imports from the U.S. after tests revealed that the rice contained trace amounts of GMOs that were not approved for human consumption. But unfortunately today in the U.S. we still have the banned genetically modified rice. And also in 2000 there was a company known as Aventis Starlink, and they had their genetically modified corn, and it unexpectedly showed up in Nation's food supply in the U.S. export markets, which Starlink represented about 1% of corn acreage, but it ended up contaminating about 25% of the harvest that year. Traces of the corn were found in taco shells and other corn products, and there was a massive recall of over 300 million different types of food corn products that had to be done. Also, several years later, there are still trace amounts of of the deregulated GMO in foods.